Greetings! Welcome, everybody! Welcome. This is not whiskey. I wish it was. It's iced tea. Oh, yeah. It is the deliciousness that I've come to expect from this household. What am I talking about? I made it myself. Modern man. Welcome, everybody, to the Daddy Comes First podcast. We made it, episode 20. Apparently, we just have to get to 21, and we are in the upper percentile of people who hang in there. Like a turd, loosely trickling off your buttocks, refusing to be shaken loose. That then has to be removed with toilet papier. You de pomme papier, which is potato paper, which is what they call it nowhere. I have a little juice in my throat this week. Apologies. The reason for that is when you have children, they go out, they pick up these diseases, and they bring them home very nicely. They care. Lovely. So, shockingly, my wife has been getting sick. My first wife. She's been getting sick a lot more recently. A lot more often than me. I've been kind of dodging it. Slipping and a sliding and a dodging and a riding. So that is the story there. And it can all be summed up in one word, which is community. We need to get into a community. How do we do that? You send your children out to be with other children who are filthy, and they bring home diseases. It is very lovely. It is the loveliest thing, boy. Man, when you have no days of full health, it is fun. No, all that is jokes. Those are all jokes. I love having children. I want to have more children. I'm trying to trouble my wife to have one more. We will. Because as I've told you many times before, we need to repopulate the earth because all these dum-dums are having 5 and 6 children. And we don't need that. Nor do we want that. We do not like that. But here we are. So, I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm a last kid, okay? I'm the last one. I'm the baby. And they were the first. And she's like, oh my gosh, so you got all the attention. And I just need to dispel this myth because it seems to me that as accomplished as the first child is usually, many studies have confirmed that first children is usually the smartest. They usually get the best job. They're usually doing pretty good in life, well adjusted, a bit stressed out because they had to absorb all the parents' bullshit. Usually, they're the best performing. I'm going to take a sip of my iced tea. There's honey in there. And the obvious answer for that is because there are no other rugrats around to take away the attention. Especially if you have a decent kind of break in between the babies. Let's do some math, shall we? If a parent has 10 hours a day to devote to raising children. Wait, hold on. There's no way there's that much. There's like an hour in the morning and then like an hour to, let's say 3 hours a day, 15, let's say 10 hours, 20 hours a week to devote to parenting, and you have one child. How many hours does that one child get, class? 20 divided by 1 is 20. Yes. Some might say that is the entirety of the parents' parental hours, and you would be correct. Simple math. So we go down the line. 2 kids, 20 divided by 2 is 10 hours each. Now, here's where it starts to get a bit tricky because obviously it's not equal, especially if it's a newborn. They get probably 15 hours, the other child gets 5, maybe even less. That's how it goes. 3 children. What's 20 divided by 3? Well, the answer is 6.6666666. No, that's wrong. 20 divided by 3 is, yeah, 6.666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666. Okay? So, and it keeps on going down like that. The reason that the first child's bottom hole is always itching when this topic comes up is because at one point in time, they had all of their parents' attention. They had all the love and all the adulation and all that kind of stuff. And guess what? It came to an end. They had you and they decided this isn't it. This isn't the one. We need to go again. This is not fulfilling anything that we want. We need to have more. So they have more children. And so what happens, and I think this is why the first child is always bummed out, is because their time with their parents gets reduced. I get it. I get it. But it's not the fault of the last child. And the last child is the last child because the parents have that child and think, wow, we really smashed it out of the park with this one. I think we'll stop here. Those other idiots have given us nothing but pain and strife. Or maybe they haven't, but they probably did. In my family, they did. 3 terrible children, and then they had me, the baby. And I was the best thing, and that's why they stopped having babies. So, when firstborns say all the attention, it's so... I mean, they don't even know math. It's supposed to be the first child. It's supposed to be good at math. You know what I mean? But they're not. They are not. They see more children getting born and they just see time getting taken away from them. And I understand that. But a more honest retort when somebody asks about if you're the first or the last and you want to carry on about how, the baby, you just say, well, I had a good run. I was the first child for a long time and it was great. And then some more came on and they spent a little bit less time with me. So I had a reduction in parenting time. Whereas the youngest child, they start off kind of bummy because you had to share the parents with all these other fools. But then they get older and as they move out of the house or whatever, they have a bit many more units to spend on the youngest child. I didn't give no problems. And the reason for that was I didn't have any rules, stipulations, nothing. I raised myself. My parents are going to be upset when I say this, but it's true. Raised my damn self. And the brother right before me, oh God, Skelly. And the brother right before me was a hellraiser. Him and his friends. They're the only group of people I know who weed actually caused them to be crazier. Weed didn't calm them down. They used to smoke real weed and they used to get drunk and they used to ruin people's parties and crash cars. And so of course when I came along, they were like, listen, with the other 3 we've tried. We have tried our best. And guess what? It's not working. So on this last one, we do think he is the chosen one, the prodigal son, who was in the heavens but has returned to us through a birth. We will let this child do as it wishes. And that is what I did. 14 years old, coming home at 5 o'clock in the morning. My father thinks it's hilarious. If my brothers did that, they would have been in quite a bit of hot bother. But that's the way. But being the youngest child ain't the easiest. It's not the easiest. And I have a vengeful streak because of it. Because what happened when I was younger is I didn't have the strength to fight off my bigger brothers. So I used to have to use weapons. I would use a cutlass, aka machete. I would chase my brother around with it. A knife, a kitchen knife, a hammer, a rock, a pipe. You do whatever the hell you have to do to survive. And what I thought at the time, I guess I assumed was that if they did something horrific to me, if I just responded in a manner that was so asymmetrical in force and violence, that maybe it might have them thinking, boy, do we really want to cross this fella? He has a couple of issues. A couple of things wrong with him. Reason number one, he didn't have parents. Exaggeration, but it's true. So there were times, yes, my brother was sitting down with his legs crossed, stretched out in front of him on the floor. He had obviously done something to me. So I waited a day or two. I picked up a large rock. I went over and I dropped it very forcefully on his shin. And his shin busted open. There was blood everywhere. And my grandmother, Irish grandmother who was there, she was horrified. And she used to come down and stay in Trinidad every few years. My parents would fly her down. She liked the warmth. She used to get along and drink rum with my other grandmother. But she couldn't handle the fighting. Boys will be boys, and it got violent many times. So I busted open his leg. Guess what? It worked. And then they would forget. They would forget about fucking around. So they would have to find out every few months. Chase my brother with a machete around the house. He did something wild, and I said, I ain't letting this slide. I went and got my father's machete. Cutlass, we call it. Every Caribbean parent has a cutlass, chop down trees to take care of grasses, defend yourself in your home with an invasion. It's basically a sword. A katana, a curry katana they call it. And I knew where my father kept his. I grabbed it, I chased down my brother. And as soon as he got into the room, I raised it over my head. And he closed the door, and just in time, I stuck the machete right through the crack in the door, and I started running up and down to try and slice him. Because I would get violent and I would see red and I would just have to react. So every few months I had to do something to remind them that my head wasn't screwed on so tight. And I knew I could never get in trouble because I was a baby. Well, I don't know if I knew that at the time, but definitely took my chances. Definitely took my chances. I took my chances, baby. Yeah. Oh. I definitely took my chances. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to take your chances with your parents, with the Lord, with life. Run out and do something crazy because sometimes you need to. You have to do it. Anyway, so I would attack them with machetes or big rocks, or I crack my brother's head open with a pipe. And all the other times that we would be bleeding or whatever is because we were fighting. We used to watch all them movies. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, Jackie Chan. We'd watch all those movies and we would try to recreate them at night time when my parents were sleeping. And sometimes the moves would work and somebody would get thrown against a wall. It'd bust his head. My brother bust his head. We were trying to get him to calm down. We're like, the blood is stopping. We're trying to stop the bleeding with a pillowcase. The pillowcase is covered in blood. He starts vomiting because he has a concussion. And anyway, we realized we had to do the right thing. But he started to get sleepy. So he's like, well, maybe we'll just do this in the morning. So he's alive. He's alive and he's doing very well. He was knocked down when he was younger, so the doctor said it kind of shook him loose and he doesn't really bother him, you know. He's a stoic, just like my father. Trinidad's first stoic. So anytime any of these first children fools tries to tell you, well, I wouldn't even discuss the middle child because they just get jammed right through. But anytime they try to start any shit about time, how much time, just tell them they can't do math. What happened? You can't do math? You can't do maths, as we say in Trinidad. You can't do simple maths. You can't do simple maths. And then you just, you know what I mean? Don't do what I did. Don't fight them with rocks. Just try and end it peacefully and amicably. So my violent streak is calming down, which is good. The thoughts are still there, but I don't have to use them, which is great because everybody around me respects me as a human being, unlike my siblings did. Okay, well, I just came back from a concert, okay? Shout out to the beautiful boys of Billy Talent. William Talent, they're called in Europe. And I took my nephews to see a show. It was fun times. Now, this is not no fancy city. Okay, Manchester. Manchester United. We went to Manchester, about the same size as Dublin. And let me tell you something. Dublin needs to pick their food game up. Okay? It is. And if you talk to anybody from Dublin, they'll say, "Oh, no, it's come so far." From where? From whence has it came? Because guess what's happening? Dublin's in a bad spot when it comes to immigrant cuisine. Fine dining, great. Best of the best. Chippers, fantastic. But that middle cut of immigrant restaurants, that kind of food. We were in Manchester, not known for their cuisine. And the food was outstanding. We had Filipino food. Boom, blow mine. We had some late night fried chicken. The man is making it fresh. 1 o'clock in the morning, dredging it right there. Some of the best chicken I've ever had. Some of the best chicken I've ever had. Fried chicken's father. We walked past two. It took us 15 minutes to walk to the restaurant from the music hall. We saw 2 Caribbean places on the way. So it got me thinking, let me do a little research. I started a search. I see 29 Caribbean restaurants. I see this many Vietnamese, this many barbecue, all this kind of shit. And it's like, well, what the France is going on in Dublin? Why can't we get it together in the immigrant food department? Okay? And you might say, okay, well, there's the Windrush generation in England. That's how come they have so much Caribbean food. All right. Well, what about the Polish people who've been here since the 90s? Where are the Polish restaurants? I looked that up in Manchester too. I'm way ahead of you. Plenty there. What about the Nigerian restaurants? They have been here. Then they're on their 2nd generation now. Might even be 3rd at this point. Skelly. What about those? Looked it up in Manchester. Tons. The Brazilians. Brazilians are here hustling. Where are the Brazilian restaurants? I mean, I guess they're on their 1st generation-ish. But still, where is it? And they have a lot of folks who are doing their best, and they are, Irish born and raised, and some of them are, immigrant 2nd generation, whatever, or some of them just go on a vacation and they come back and they try to recreate the food. They do a good job. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty good, But we need to step up the game. We need to step it up, Dublin. What are we doing? What are we doing? Is it that the jobs are so good they come here and they're like, well, I don't want to do food because I can get a job in a tech company? What is it that's happening? What is it that's happening? Why is it that the food on the immigrant side is so crap? I mean, I want you guys to tell me, what the hell is the story? I don't understand, and I wish I did. You're walking on the street and you're just seeing different people, you're smelling different things going on, you know what I mean? Is that somebody's shoes? Is that a restaurant? That's what I want. I mean, I came up as an adult in Toronto. Toronto, the fan, 590. Came up in Toronto. And I went to Toronto when I was 19. The food there is outstanding. It's from everywhere. They have churrascarias. You walk inside and it's speaking to you. They're greeting you in not Brazilian, we call it Portuguese. Italian places, they're greeting you in Italian. Ciao, blah, 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 blah. God, the Italians, yuck. And we just can't seem to pull it off here in Dublin. So I don't know what to say. I don't know how the hell we do that. I guess the street food scene leaves a bit to be wanted. Now, there's good festivals and there's good lunchtime markets and that kind of shit. There's markets, but how do we switch that around? I saw a woman today entirely covered in a velour juicy brand jumpsuit. Not jumpsuit, we call it pajamas, whatever. thing, tracksuit, whatever. I thought Juicy was gone. Juicy riding back. All you know, Juicy? Good Lord, I did not expect that rally. Who expected that? Not this person. And all the kids are wearing it too. I mean, this young girl, the lady I saw today was whatever, in her 20s maybe. The puffed up lips and the eyelashes and the fake tan, which is like the Dublin look. Get the Dublin look. You know that gap tooth lady, the London look. Yeah, well, there's the Dublin look. Velour, juicy jumpsuit, tracksuit, eyelashes that a crow could land on, Oompa Loompa colored skin, and lips that means you can't use mouthwash anymore. They always have a hole in the middle. You know what I mean? You're trying to use your mouthwash. You can't eat soup. You can't slurp anything. You're only eating hard food from now on because the lips too big. What do we do about that? Nobody's talking about that issue. These big lipid bitches cannot eat properly. I'm concerned. I'm just, it's nothing to do with how they look or whatever. That's up to them. But they're wasting away because they cannot keep food in their mouth. The food keeps falling out. And then what happens? The seagulls fly down and attack them. And that's why the seagull problem is so bad. I saw a seagull steal a whole chicken leg. I've told you this already. And what are we doing about that? Absolutely nothing. It's such a shame. Make the lips smaller, keep the food in your mouths, and starve them out. That's the only way we get rid of these seagulls. We have to starve them out. But if they have food on the ground all the time, the pigeons are harder because the pigeons eat doo-doo and vomit. But the seagulls, they kind of become in high society. The seagulls in a few generations deep now of the Celtic tiger. And they're like, well, I want chips, that fresh chips and chicken. That's what I want. They're eating whatever. And what they should do is, as I've said before, start a cull. Like they do the fox hunting here in Ireland. It's illegal in England, so they don't do it there, but they do it in Ireland. They do the fox hunting. You know that thing? They blow the trumpet, they dress up in the red coats like a bunch of fools. The dogs chase the foxes, whatever. But that's what they should be in Dublin. You should be able to scalp these things, cut their heads off, and then turn them in for a fee. Just imagine a lovely day with your family. You walk around. You don't even have to go into, hunting. You had to go into the woods. You didn't have to go into the woods. You just get out. You put on one of those nice fisherman outfits that's like waterproof and bloodproof, and you all go out and you have a nice day. And everybody, somebody has a mace for bashing the seagulls' heads in. Somebody has a net to catch them. Maybe a little knife. Guns might be a bit hectic. Maybe a bird shot. Some shotguns with bird shot. You shoot them out the sky. Fun for the whole family. You capture, a dozen or so heads. You turn it in, you get some movie. You go back, everybody has a shower. You have a lovely, nice dinner. And then you go into Dublin on Monday. You turn in the 12 dozen heads. You get a little bit of money. You go on a nice vacation. Not too nice, because they're not going to pay you that well. But you go somewhere nice. And all-inclusive, but one of the nice all-inclusives where the food is not horrendous. They exist. I've been. You sit by the pool. You do that for a few hours, you get bored. You and your wife start making fun of all the other couples because you're not like them. But there you are laying down next to them. And while she's talking, you come upon the realization that you've wasted your life away. Coming to resorts like this, where an English person next to you, he says, I'll save your chair tomorrow. And you're about to tell him, no, we're going to go off the resort. We're going to leave the resort. We have fun activities planned. You want to tell him all that stuff, but you don't, because you realize you're going to wake up, you're going to go downstairs, you're going to hoover that slop that they put out for the tourists. Your child is going to eat everything there because it's all made for children. And then you walk outside and you see Thurgood there, and he has 2 towels down for you and your wife. And he says, oi mate, have you tried any of that, the spicy sausage they have there? And you say, yeah, it's nice. Not as hot as Trinidad, though. You say, okay, all right. You know, you talk about what crazy thing happened the night before. He says he's been up all night with the youngest kid. And he just slowly drift off for a nap. Even though you only woke up 2 hours ago, you drift off into a nap and you just realize, you know what? Life isn't that bad. It's not that bad. See you next week, folks. Daddy goes first.